Surrounded by giant walls that only revealed parts of the sky, I found myself in amazement as I walked deeper into the canyon. Today, I will take you on a journey to explore the beautiful White Owl Canyon. Only on the Planet Traveler. It was early in the morning on a beautiful winter day when I decided to do this hike. Sadly, I had lived in Las Vegas for years and had never done this hike before. The start of the trail led me downhill towards the canyon. The valley-like area was filled with beautiful fall and winter colors. I had to stop for a moment and take in the view. It was here where the trail forked. The path to the left led to the canyon. The one to the right headed in the direction of Lake Mead. I obviously chose the path towards the canyon. There was one thing that caught my attention as I passed through the area. In the past, I had heard that the Utah-Nevada area was once a part of a great ocean, but that never really registered until the moment that I saw these seashells scattered across the ground. They were everywhere, and I started to wonder exactly how old these shells were. They certainly didn't look like they were thousands of years old. Back on the trail, I made my way towards the canyon. In the distance, I could see the canyon walls starting to form. Now at the mouth of the canyon, this is where things started to get interesting. The walls of the canyon weren't too high at this point, but it did make me think. A canyon is the last place I would want to be in the midst of a flash flood. Thankfully, there were no flash floods this day. As canyon life went on, I slowly made my way through the narrow gorge. The canyon took on a beautiful hue of red and orange, and the walls slowly began to climb upward. It was here that I discovered evidence of a murder of crows. It seems they took refuge in this shrub. Too bad they didn't stick around for me to see them. At this point, the walls were at their highest, and the canyon was most interesting. I had encountered very few people along this hike, so going through this part of the canyon was at times a tad creepy. It left me with the sense of feeling truly alone. My mind began to wonder and think abstract things like, this must be what it feels like to be the Curiosity rover exploring the canyons of Mars. I know, it's weird, but hey, sometimes I can't control the thoughts that go through my head. Looking up at the walls again made me speculate what I would do if a flash flood came through here. There would simply be no place to hide. This area was absolutely beautiful and was significantly cooler than elsewhere along the trail. But like all good things, they must come to an end. My favorite portion of the trail led me to an opening where I could see a road up above. I would imagine that a claustrophobic person would be breathing a sigh of relief at this point. For a person running short on time, this first tunnel would be a good point to turn around. Although there is still much more to see, such as this cool ass tunnel. Pretty cool, huh? By the way, a flashlight is by no means necessary to pass through this tunnel. But me being the uber nerd that I am, I brought one anyway. Continuing on the hike, there was still much more to see, although in my opinion, I had already seen the best parts. But what was left was still pretty cool. Running a bit short on time, I had to pick up the pace slightly if I wanted to see this portion of the hike. Before too long, I had gotten to the highlight of this portion of the trail. There was a rock here that had formed a sort of bridge. The thing that made this rock bridge special was the seemingly precarious way the rock rested alongside the wall to form the bridge. It didn't look very stable.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. My reason for being, the reason I came here. 2020, I started a new tradition. And anytime I find something to summit, I have to do a Captain Morgan stance. So this place has a place where I definitely have to do a Captain Morgan stance. Check this out.
Now tell me that the placement of that rock doesn't look sketchy.
Let's do this.
Straight away, I made my way towards climbing up to the bridge. Climbing to the top was quite easy. Before I climbed to the top portion of the rock, I attempted to assess how stable it was. It seemed pretty sturdy.
Step into the black, the new darker, bolder spiced rum from Captain Morgan.
With my mission accomplished, I had a little time left before I needed to head back. To be clear, the White Owl Canyon Trail makes a loop back to the parking lot, but I wanted to head back the way I came to enjoy my favorite parts of the trail once again. With a few minutes left, I pressed a little farther. I was trying to get as far as the second set of tunnels before turning around. As I made my way farther up the trail, the canyon walls became significantly lower. Finally, at the second set of tunnels, it served as my turnaround point. As I mentioned before, you can go through these tunnels and walk back to the parking lot, but I wanted to go back the way I came.